thank you for joining us today. We have the Fishtank. Yeah, it's Thursday. I almost thought it was Friday. Ooh. Oh, Troll and Toad has got me all messed up, guys. All flustered. But I'm Gaming Fishman. I'm your favorite aquatic gaming-based personality. Your hostess with the mostest. And today, guys. Today, my little trollies and toadies. Over the past 2 weeks, we've been taking you on this magical journey throughout the high-end hobby industry. We've seen the signed Lotus. We've talked about the Charizard that went up for auction. But today, we're gonna be talking about the granddaddy of them all, the granddaddy of all high-end trading cards, sports cards. Yes, monies. And to guide us on this journey, our Sherpa up this mountain of value, we have the one, the only, the best sensei a Shonen Pro Tag could ever ask for, the man who taught me literally everything I know, Mr. Jeremy Muir. Please let all these trolleys and toadies know a little bit about the man behind the legend of Jeremy Muir.
I'm just someone who started as a kid with my dad. We collected sports cards and stuff like that. He got me into it when I was young. I immediately clicked to it. It was something to do with like the statistics and the numbers and everything like that. I'm an 8-year-old kid. Started to fall for it. Me and my dad did that for many years. I collected cards and stuff like that. By the time I was getting done with high school, I was doing things on my own, going to shows. Mm-hmm. Then I found out about other card games, got involved with other card games, and we're back at the sports card thing again. So
yeah,
stay very involved with the industry.
Oh yeah. You have your fingers on the pulse, if you would. Yeah. So for many people who don't know, you have a very accoladed history with this company. In fact, like, if you've been to any Gen Con in the past, 10 years with this company, like, you've probably seen this man. If you've been to, like, any show, any Magic show, definitely. Me and you worked several Magic events together.
Yes, we did.
Some of my favorite shows, by the way. I think it was 2017 Nationals, 2017, 2018.
Yeah.
That was a really fun event. Super cool. But yeah, so enough of this other card game stuff. All right, I invited you here for one very special reason, Jeremy. That is, I don't know anything about sports ball. I think that's what the kids call it. So can you tell us a little bit about the sports card industry as a whole?
Sure. So a lot of basically their cards, they make a lot of different brands, stuff like that, for the types of things, and it's about people collecting. It's about people getting their favorite players, either the icons as a kid when they're watching the games personally or on TV, or just collecting some of the best of all time, the GOATs, the Michael Jordans, LeBron James, guys who interact not just in sport but in life. Mm-hmm. You see them on TV, Gatorade commercials, everything like that.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people get into this industry. There are high-end products. There are low-end products. The demand is crazy these days for cards. Okay. So, it's just something that continues to build, and there's more collectors now doing it than ever in its history. And they had a big peak in the early 90s, and it kind of turned back off at some point in the later 90s because the fad went away.
Yeah.
People went to the Pokemon, stuff like that.
Yeah. Also, I think during this time, too, sports cards had a big problem of just printing into the ground, right?
Yeah, overprinting, big time.
So
now it's very restricted on how much they make of each card and stuff like that to protect the value.
Well, that's good. That's what you want.
Yes. From a collector's standpoint, for sure.
Exactly. I mean, you're collecting these pretty sports card pictures. Not really a game that you can play with them yet. We have a very special, beautiful mind behind the scenes currently working on something for sports cards. We might see that in Troll vs. Toad sometime. I think it'll be a fun demo. But yeah, so what's your favorite sports cards? Just,
My favorite?
Yeah, your favorite.
Some of the ones I like, either it's just because the picture is just, I don't know, silly. And not silly, but it's just funny to me. My favorite card I think ever is a 1989 Pro Set Football Don Beebe. It's not a valuable card. It's probably worth 25 cents.
Okay.
But it looks like a picture straight out of, I don't know, high school or something like that. And I love the card. I've always loved it because it looks like, and he was a good player in the NFL for the Bills. But it was just the way the picture looked. It was one of those things I always enjoyed. And it's worth something to me personally. And a couple other things, just like a King Griffey Jr. I have a card from him when he played in Vermont. I'm from Vermont.
Ooh.
So he was in the minor leagues in Vermont before he became a big superstar, whatever man, man, big old sports ball hulking monster, and so he was but I have that card of him when he was in Vermont with a minor league team that they used to have there. So that means something to me.
Yeah, home state pride.
It's more worth something to me than the value of the card. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it has a lot of sentimental value to you.
Yep.
That's really cool. So you brought up the weird sports card art, or well, not weird per se, but like unusual. Whenever you think of sports cards, you think of just still images from like either a MLB capture or something, or just live photography, which is a very common thing. But some sports cards, I think one of the most recent ones is just a picture of a polar bear.
Yes. Yep. That's the 2020 or 2020 Topps Series 1. Pete Alonso had a variation. It's a picture of just a polar bear. The story I can tell about that is the store I'm associated with, the Baseball Card Warehouse. Shout out for that. We opened the first one of those seen, and Beckett asked us if they could use our picture.
For real?
For real. You didn't know that. I know you didn't know that.
I really didn't. That's sweet. So
real.
like you opened the only like known copy
at that time.
Card.
Yep. More appeared later, but we opened the first one, and that's the picture they used on Beckett.com, which is an official source for a lot of things. So.
Okay. So they just called you up and been like, "Hey, can we use this image?"
They sent me a message, and they said, "We're gonna if that's blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Of course, yes." And I was just like, if it was actually honorable for them to want to do that.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, hey, big businessman Jeremy Muir, the people actually calling you for their own cards.
My employee Jacob Cottle opened it. So it's all him. It's all him. He has the luck. He is the man.
I love Cottle and his magic hands. That boy is just swimming in luck. Ooh. I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh with him back in the day, and oh boy,
he had the hands back then too.
He had the hands back then. Ooh, that boy knows how to draw himself a miracle fusion off the top. Ooh. All right. So the big thing with sports cards is I'm noticing some of these price tags for some of these higher end ones because you were gracious enough to share me your super secret price document. I'm seeing. Let's look at this Mickey Mantle. I have the tab pulled up, so if you want to go on ahead and go over to it. Can you tell me the story behind the Mickey Mantle?
So there's a 1952 Topps is the most iconic set in general for baseball cards. Not the rarest, but the most iconic. Is where the first time Topps had cards. Okay. And they're a little bit bigger than normal cards, stuff like that. And throughout time, it's just one of those things where the cards are just iconic in terms of the look and feel of a card. And it's kind of like the basis they use that went forward for making cards across all industries. Right. So, and in that set, it has a couple of key players like Willie Mays and Mickey Mantle. These are all-time great players.
I think I've heard the name Mickey Mantle before.
Mickey Mantle, this was his actual second year card. He was originally in 1951, but because it's the first Topps, like big whatever card, it's his most valuable item. This card has, over the years, it's almost like you can watch the market rise as this card continues to go up in price. You see like where the world can be in terms of pricing in the market. There's only 6 9s that exist and only 3 10s. 2 of the 3 10s came out of the same box opened at the National, which is like the Gen Con of sports cards.
What?
So there's only 6 total of this card that exists. So it is very scarce to get in a high like that kind of grade. That card has that specific exact one you're looking at right now. This serial numbered card has a history that in 2006 had sold for, I don't remember the price I gave you the sheets.
Hold on, let me click back over on the super secret image.
And it's fun to see the differences between the years. 2006.
Ooh, Mickey Mantle. We had 2006
sold for 200 something. What does it say? 200?
Yeah, 240,000.
240,500, which at the time was a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And then a couple years ago, it sold for $2.88 million.
What? Take that, card. Charizard.
Same card.
God.
So it had gone up, what, $2.6 million over the span of 10 years, or 12 years.
Like, what, 2,000% or something?
And then just the other day, like a couple days ago, the article you were on, it sold for $5.2 million.
5.2 for this, for a face that only a mother could love. Oh, God. Yeah, Fishman taking a safe swing at Mickey Mantle, all right? I'm not going to get out on this. This is my grand slam of a roast. But, so $5 million, that is insane.
Yeah. So think about it. There's 3 10s. What's a 10 worth? We don't know what something like this is worth. Mm-hmm. What's the 3 10s worth?
Yeah, because there's a world.
10 million, 20 million?
Like,
I don't know.
the difference between a 9, at least in the normal trading card industry, the worlds of power between a 9 and a 10 are astronomical in just art industry. So like in an actual hardcore collecting industry, like sports cards, like I don't know, what would you say?
I gotta feel like people say it's at least 10 million for the 10 because there's only 9 of these low end range total of those two 9s and 10s. I don't think a guy who has one, a 10, would sell it for less than 20 million if they even sell it.
Yeah.
And I assume that the people who have the 10s, a lot of these times you get these high end, hard to get items. Mm-hmm. They go into some private collection somewhere, and they don't get surfaced again. Like that PSA 9 Mantle that sold in 2018 for that card in 2018 when it sold. Mm-hmm. The last time it had been seen for sale was 2006. So it had gone 12 years. No one had seen a 9 or 10 for sale.
Right.
And then now it's just like, we've seen the same card cycle through, and of course each time it's doubling, tripling, whatever. So
right, yeah,
jeez,
that's insane. You see this all the time in movie memorabilia too. They go into private collections and they spend decades in those collections until they resurface again. Like that is so cool.
It's insane.
Like I just love the collecting industry, the hobby industry. It's awesome.
Dad's old baseball cards that got thrown away and put into bike spokes.
Ooh, oh, could you imagine? Oh, the kids from Sandlot with the Mickey Mantle cards in their bikes. Oh.
Could you imagine? You hear about that now?
Yeah.
You know that card you used to have when you were a kid, Grandpa? It's worth $5 million, but instead you destroyed it. Which is why it's worth $5 million.
You mean my lucky Mickey Mantle card that's never left my wallet? And he wads it up, and you see, it's an actual mummy. It's just a picture of the mummy from Universal.
One of the key factors about the 52 Top set too is that the way they did baseball cards back then, it was priced for the gum. So you pay 5 cents for a pack. It came with a piece of gum and some cards. And so they did it in 7 series with each time having a chunk of cards. This was in one of the later series, I believe the 5th series. And on that, there's only maybe 70, 80 cards you can possibly get. But as the year went through in 1952, cards weren't necessarily selling as fast for some of these stores, so they made less and less and less. So they get to become more short printed, which also helps with the collector's value and everything like that.
That makes a lot of sense, of course, because you don't want to print them into the ground.
There's no reason to make more gum and waste these. Why would we want to waste more gum?
Yeah, that leads me to the just origins of trading cards, right? Because they used to just be placeholders in cigarette packs, so you wouldn't crush the cigarettes. And eventually, they just I think there's one of the most expensive sports cards was the player. I can't remember his name because this is fantastic storytelling on Fishman's part. But I just heard this offhand, and the reason why his card is so expensive is he didn't want his likeness on something that goes in cigarettes.
Yes.
So he didn't want his image on something being sold to kids like that. Super cool. And no, Turkey, you cannot do full Orcus combo with Mickey Mantle. He is a extender, and he'll just brick up that hand.
The another thing, does that have a picture of the back of that card as well? If you go down?
I think so.
So here's a cool little fact. We're talking about this. On the back of the card, you'll see it says TCG. Actually says TCG somewhere on there. And I don't know if it's at the bottom, upper left there, right there, TCG on the back of the card.
Yeah, I hear.
And that stands for Topps Candy and Gum. So when Topps started making this stuff, it was a gum candy company for candy stores and shops like that.
That's cool.
And so that terminology, that's why baseball cards and all these sports cards had gum for so long in these packs. And that gum would damage the cards. Yeah. But it was all about selling the gum. Never was about the cards.
Oh,
until maybe the 70s or so?
Yeah, where people are just ripping the wrappers, throwing the gum away, and it's like, oh, what card did you get?
Yep.
Yeah. That's so cool. Eventually, the marketing outweighed the necessity for the product, and the marketing is what people were trying to buy. That's awesome. Love it. Eventually, the own marketing you were using became your product. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Hobby industry's awesome.
Yeah, that's all Topps does now. They're a card company. They don't even do candy. I think maybe they do some sort of candy and gum, but I don't really know anymore.
Yeah, I think they might do the Sonic energy drinks or something, or they have a subsidiary that does that stuff.
That does some sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So that Mantle sold for $5.2 million, which was a backbreaking number, unheard of in this world and stuff like that. But there's been a lot of items of the past few year and a half that have hit some all-time highs and have been significant. And of those other items, if you want to switch back to the list,
yeah.
what was the next one I put on there? I don't remember.
Yeah. Go boo. Got this. All right. What's the next one you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about?
So just about 2-3 days ago, the Tom Brady PSA 10 Contenders rookie sold. That is from. I know you don't have a picture of that one, but it's from 2000. Sorry, Contenders. It's an autographed card, and this card doesn't exist. It's only 13 of them. People usually keep them. Tom Brady, obviously on his way going to the Super Bowl and stuff like that.
This one?
Yeah, that's a good example of the card. And a PSA 10 version of this card sold for $522,000. The last one of this card that sold was something like $120,000, and it was, 6-7 years ago. It was a while ago. People don't generally sell this card because Tom Brady, many consider to be the GOAT, best player ever to play football.
Right.
And this is the card that was the most collectible card back then.
Oh.
In the year 2000, a Contenders pack
so cool too.
was $200 then, and you would get an autographed card and like 3 other cards or something like that in the pack.
Okay.
So at the time,
right.
it was. That's about 99, 2000 is when cards started to kind of go in this weird direction where there's these higher end products. We no longer were spending $25 for a box of cards. There were these types of these items that started to kind of become more expensive. $100 boxes, $100, $200 box. There was a $400 box.
Yeah. Your Charizards, your Jace the Mind Sculptors, your Black Lotus.
And I think what was happening is the sports card industry was trying to do more what the trading card industry was doing.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Kind of like an Ouroboros thing. They see Magic coming up with new rarities. They're like, oh, people are just ripping up wrappers just to get what, a Black Lotus? What?
Yeah. So it's funny because now if you look at some of the diversity in card games, you see a lot of like different type of rarities and stuff like that, different type of framed cards, different kind of whatever. And it feels more like they're copying some of the things that the sports card industry does because they do all these different parallels as well. So it's weird how like these guys. We don't, as a community, if you're a person who plays Pokemon or a person who plays Yu-Gi-Oh or Magic, you don't think about the sports card world, and the sports card world isn't thinking about you. But those two companies, there are all these companies that make these games, definitely pay attention to each other because they're doing a similar style.
They're also competing over basically the same dollars, right? There's only so much amount of money out there, so they're all fighting over the same demographics.
There's more money right now than ever.
Yeah,
less people are out there going out to at night and doing things, or going out to the movie theater, and they're instead spending it on collectibles. So
less people at Applebee's, more people buying baseball cards.
That's right.
Ooh, super cool.
AMC theaters, no one can go to those.
Rip some theaters.
Doesn't matter what the stocks say. Stonks.
Stonks. Oh, big stonks. Speaking of some stonks, there's a very notable person in the trading, particularly the sports card industry. Gary Vaynerchuk?
Yes.
Yeah, he's a Belarusian American entrepreneur, author, wine critic, co-founder of Retzi and Empathy Wines, public speaker, internet personality, and if you follow his Twitter account, you'll notice that he's a bit of an amateur chef. Not true, but I made you guys check his Twitter account, didn't I? He made several videos and articles talking about just getting into trading card investing. That's about all I know from him. So can you? He's a
very energetic figure, and he is all about motivating you, get you whatever. His big thing, if you go to any type of platform like Instagram or like Twitter, like you said, or any of those things, or YouTube, he has tons of videos. It's about get out there, get this thing, do it. Don't just expect it to happen to you. Just get out there. He's and that's his thing. And he talks about a lot, whatever. And Gary is someone who started to get into the sports card thing because he did it as a kid as well. And he is, he's a multi-millionaire, billionaire, whatever he is, and he wanted to get into cards. So when he started getting into cards, he was very vocal about it. He's like, he saw in early 2018 into 2017 that there was more than just what everyone normally saw as cards, and that there was going to be an industry rise. And so he got out there and started talking big. He's like, I'm going to buy this. He went to that national, the Gen Con, same weekend as Gen Con, actually, the national event for sports cards. It was like 80-something thousand people that year. That's a lot of people. He had a table, and he was buying cards for market price. He was buying 2 different cards specifically.
He went and vended?
Yes. Well, that's sweet. He vended at it, and he just wanted to get out there and play, honestly. Love you, Tortle. And he had a Giannis Antetokounmpo Prism, which is a weird name, but it's one of the top basketball players. He was buying those PSA 10s for $350, $40, and the whole world was like, why are you paying so much? But he was very
did he clear out the room?
He had, at one point, there's pictures of him having a showcase just full of, like, stacks of them.
Oh!
So he had, like, hundreds of them.
Very close.
And then he did it, also, he was talking about Luka Doncic Prism, the guy I'm wearing the jersey for.
Okay.
And Luka Doncic, if you follow basketball, is also one of the top players.
Yeah, so I love me a good sports ball. You really home run that kick.
And so he was very vocal about these items. And then he started to become vocal in the community because people were listening to what he was saying. And he didn't want to just tell the select few. He wanted to tell everyone, this is good, this is good, buy this, trust me, I know what's going on, it's going to go up. And a lot of people started buying these Luka Doncic cards for $100. And we watched those cards start shooting up. And now that PSA 10 is like $1,600. A lot of people made a lot of money. Random guys were just out there buying the regular cards for $15 and buying the PSA 10s for $100. And turned it into thousands upon thousands upon tens of thousands. So he made a come up for anyone who wanted to listen.
Right. So he forged his own bridge to the top, or his own staircase to the top, I guess I should say.
And he's just a guy out there, and he has passion for it. And everything he buys goes in a stack at his house. He doesn't resell anything because he likes cards.
Everything just goes in the collection.
Yes, it just kind of sticks with him and stays with him. So. It's very. There's been controversy. People think he tries to hype it up to make stuff worth more, and he's just honestly excited, and he still sees more pathways. So whenever he says something once a month or whatever about cards,
people listen.
It's the amount of people who pay attention and react to it is insane. And he's not giving you guidance to say, go buy this. This is the best thing. He'll be like, I think this card's cool. I like this card. I think it has good potential. And then people go out there, and you'll watch the card triple overnight.
Oh, they just go after what he likes, right?
Yeah.
They're following his trend.
Well, he's generally got a good acumen towards doing that type of item. So.
Okay, that's super cool. And how can you get a hold of this guy? Gary Vaynerchuk has a Twitter account that I think still has open DMs. So, if you want to get in contact with him, you can hit him up on Twitter. You can also make sure I didn't actually check his Twitter account and see if he's amateur chef. He owns a restaurant company, so I assume he's a professional chef. But that's really cool because we see this all the time in Magic, the MTG finance community, with certain people. Medina is a big name in the industry. So it's very weird hearing parallels in another hobby industry, not related to Pokemon or the actual trading card games. Oh, what you got? Oh, okay. That's super cool. Is there any cards that he's notably actually affected?
John Medina?
Or well,
I know John Medina. I am from Vermont. John Medina is from Vermont.
Oh,
I played Magic with John Medina when he was still in high school.
I love Medina. Hey, I've had you introduce me to Mr. Medina, and I can say I shook his hand in the before times.
Super smart guy.
Yes, I actually love talking to him. Our brief interaction over the Final Fantasy card game was very enlightening to me. Super cool.
No, but you didn't mean Medina, obviously.
No, obviously not. But shout out to our boy Medina.
Shout out to our man. I mean, Gary is someone that he keeps himself so you can reach him on a lot of different platforms. There's a lot of guys, if you want to take the time to care and find out about sports cards, you go to YouTube and search, and there are infinite guys trying to provide you with information all the time. And most of it's not a gimmick and trying to trick you into getting something. They're trying to give you the best information, just let you know what's going on.
A lot of them are very much play the Gary character too. They have the same amount of energy, a lot of them. Nothing wrong with that. It's just I'm just stating a trend.
Sure.
So if you love passion, you love a lot of energy, and you love people talking about investments, the Sports Cards YouTube is lit, fam.
Yeah, it's went from there's collectors and there's investors. A lot of people collect are both, but it has become huge of an investment, and it reminds me of the parallels we've seen with Pokemon graded cards lately. Because you see a lot of people getting into Pokemon and buying your Charizards or any of your other, your Blastoises or your
sealed booster boxes,
Skyridge stuff and stuff like that. Any of those types of things that become more investments. Yes, you like the items. Yes, you're collecting them. But there's this part where it's you're seeing these items mature and stuff like that, and then it just feels like, what's the ceiling? What's the next cap?
Yeah, after the Charizard passing for 300K recently, what's the ceiling for Pokemon in the base set sealed box for going for 400K? And the only thing on the Heritage Auction site is this potentially has a Charizard in it.
Yeah,
that was the only selling point for it.
If you were a kid at the beginning, Charizard in the first set was the chase character because from the show.
Yes.
If you were to tell any kid in '99 who wanted to get a Charizard and got their Charizard or first edition limited whatever Charizard, if you were to tell them that when they're older, that card's gonna be worth $1 million someday, I don't think anyone in '99 would have doubted you.
Nope.
They felt it.
No, Little Fish would have been 100%. Yes, it is.
We're not there. We're not there yet, but it's something I think we can build to because it's so iconic amongst a generation of people who got involved in something very big.
I definitely see within the next
It's art.
decade.
It's art.
100%. It's art. It's nostalgia. It has everything going for it. And I definitely within the next decade, I foresee a Pokemon card nearing that $1 million threshold. It will definitely be Charizard. It will be some Charizard in some kind, probably, of course, base set, first set, shadowless. It's
crazy,
so cool.
But then the sports card world, you already got items in the millions, and they can go to 10 million, they can go to 12 million, they can go to 15 million. It's crazy. Like we're seeing all these other items, as I said, and it's the maturation of certain cards. I gave a huge list for my man Fish to kind of look over and stuff like that. And I don't know if you want to talk about any other ones or whatever.
I got the Gretzky one pulled up.
So recently, I think it was end of December, a 1979-80. This is the first year Wayne Gretzky rookie card. PSA 10 OPC. OPC and Topps are the same thing, except OPC is made in Canada. It's a little bit different of a paper. And the cards the quality control isn't quite the same as Topps. It's obviously not as much made. So there's less of those made, and the quality control is worse. So the OPC has, as people have realized that how much rare that item is, it's gone up in value. So this item went for $1.29 million. Previously, this item had sold a couple of years ago for like $475,000. The same exact serial numbered card.
The same one.
So you've seen this card increase by threefold.
Oh my god, that's insane.
And it's just an iconic card. It's tough to get, and I mean,
it's Gretzky, of course.
It's one of those sports names that you don't even have to know sports. You've heard of Wayne Gretzky, you've heard of Michael Jordan, you've heard of LeBron James. Once they're one of those names, Tom Brady, you've heard of these guys in culture that are just something that are more than just the sport. And he was so dominant in his sport. So if you like hockey, most people like Gretzky. Yep. If you like all-time greats, whatever. You know, you're talking about a guy and he's good personality. So there's a lot of huge things for him.
Yeah. God, if you like the Mighty Ducks, Gretzky actually makes appearance in the third one, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. And all the kids are in awe because that's it's the great one. So that card and it's weird because a lot of times a lot of the stuff we've seen recently, there's been a few iconic baseball cards, the Mantle, usually older stuff.
Let's go back.
We've seen more modernized cards, and in the term of modern means 1971 to 1997. Ultra modern is the 98 up.
Okay.
Modern cards didn't used to hit the levels that these old school cards, like the Mantle hitting 2.88 million before it went to 5.2. There was a card, a Honus Wagner card that had gone up to 3.12 million. And that's one of the most iconic cards, one of the hardest cards to get. It's the best graded one that ever existed of that card. So it was always an old baseball cards that are impossible to find, worth a bunch of money. Now we're seeing these more modernized items where it's possible in the year 1995 you bought packs of OPC hockey that still existed from 1979 and opened a Gretzky. Now we're seeing these, like, I think if you want to cut to that screen.
I was trying to open this up in a new tab. Ooh, there we go. Oh.
So this is a Giannis Antetokounmpo, the basketball player from the Milwaukee Bucks. This is what they call a logo man rookie, and it has a piece of his jersey that has the logo man on it. So those are iconic items because they don't have extras.
Actual piece of his actual jersey
is what that is.
Oh.
So and then it has his autograph on it. Now this is a 101, so it's the only one exists because it has the patch.
Yeah.
And it's from a product called National Treasures. This product now in basketball, when it comes out, it's like $4,000 or $5,000 for a pack of 10 cards.
What?
Correct.
For a pack of 10?
And I think when that one came out, it probably was more like $800 and $900 at the time.
Okay.
For a pack of 10 cards. And you don't know what you're going to get in a pack. You can open a pack and not get... You're going to get some autographs and stuff. You're always going to get something. But this was a guy who, when he was drafted then... He had potential, but he was from Greece. No one knew if he was going to be good. He didn't look good at first.
They can't pronounce his name.
They can't say his name.
Very hard to shoutcast.
And he's become a major part of basketball. He's won back-to-back MVP awards, and he could win a third one potentially this year, which would be very
massive.
Very exclusive history. He's trying to make a team like Milwaukee Bucks be a competitive top-flight team. They are in the hunt each year for a championship, and they're not a major market city. So this card is only a 9, so it's not a top grade, but it's the only one, so it's the only one that can be that grade. And that card sold for $1.8 million. So when that sold for that price...
When did this card come out?
That came out in 2013.
So within the last decade.
Yes.
Okay. So there's several chances in the modern sports card industry for several cards. Well, for not several cards, but for cards that hit the $1 million point.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
His Prism card, as I talked about, Gary Vee was buying those Prism cards.
Yeah.
When he was buying them, he was paying $350 to $400. The Prisms are now like $4,000 or $5,000 a piece for that PSA 10. The reason why, when he bought them, $350, that's a card, when it first came out, people would have gave you. It was worth $0. No one cared.
It was bulk.
It was nothing. It was a nobody because he hadn't proven himself, and you see his name, you're like, random dude.
Yeah.
And then what you don't realize is that this guy is going to shape himself into being this ridiculous athlete.
Potentially one of the best players of all time.
Another similar story to an athlete that did the same thing was Mike Trout.
Ooh. All right.
Which is another card on the list. And
I'm going to go over here, big cam mode, and we're going to check out some more cards on this list. Yeah. Right here. Ooh.
Some sense in that regard.
No, it's totally, you're doing fine. I'm just going to go images. Let's try to pull this up. So the Mike Trout BGS card.
The Super Fractor, yeah.
This one? Or this one?
It's kind of like a goldish, whatever. It's that right down, up one, right there.
Right here, okay. There we go.
Perfect, we got the right place. Beckett, that's the best source.
Yeah.
So this Super Fractor Mike Trout, what a Super Fractor is, it's a 101, and it's a style 101 where it does kind of like a gold vinylish glow. So you can't quite see it, but it kind of reflects really heavily.
Yeah, all right. I have the card pulled up for people on the stream now. Yeah, you can almost see it as you can see the lines of reflection. Mike
Trout in 2009 is a 2009 Bowman Chrome, which is a product they make every year. It has all the prospects in their first cards. It even says first Bowman on it in text. That's his first card, official baseball card ever made that anyone would want. When this came out, he was a prospect who had potential. By 2011, he came in as a rookie, and since then, he has been amazing. He has won the MVP. He has won. Their team hasn't won, but he is statistically on a pace for a career better than Mickey Mantle, who at the time was the standard. So he may be, by the time he's done, the best baseball player ever to have played the sport. Ever.
Wow.
And if he retired right now, and he's like 27, about to turn 28, if he retired right now, he would probably make it into the Hall of Fame now. He's that accomplished already.
That is insane.
But at first, he was just a prospect, a guy. He wasn't the highest touted drafted player, and he was skinny, and he didn't have his power yet. Some players, when they get drafted in baseball, they're prospects. They take time to build muscle for hitting home runs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you see, so this card originally was touted by a man named Vegas Dave, who's a loud mouth who likes to run his mouth about the things he does.
Well, his name is Vegas Dave, right?
He's all about sports betting and stuff. But he bought this card for $400,000.
Okay.
A couple years ago, and everyone said he was crazy. But he's like, it's the best card of the best player. You watch, I'll make money. So he then sells it recently, and I put the number in there. It's $3.4 million.
Oh, almost $4 million.
Yeah.
3.9.
Yeah.
3.94.
And that was in auction. That item sold for $3.94 million.
Also, Chad, this is the first time I'm actually looking through some of these numbers. I just looked at the names of some of these guys. I looked at Giannis Antetokounmpo. I was like, yeah, I can't pronounce that. Let's go in blind.
Yeah.
That's insane.
So this guy bought the card for $400,000 a couple years ago, and then sells it within the past 6 months, and it sells for $3.9 million. So he's made $3.5 million in 3 years' time off of this one investment.
Best investment
We
of
all need
time.
to do this. We all need to do this.
Yes.
You need to do this. I need to do this. We all need to do this.
Yes. Let's just buy sports cards. God.
At least cards that can at least make $3 million. If we can make $3 million, if you know how to do it, please share. But
please, we have a Discord, ! Discord. You can put all your ideas in there. Well, we'll make sure to read some of them out for the show. Okay, so for everyone out there, because I'm sure they have one big question on their mind. What's the best place to get into sports cards? Like, how do you get your feet wet, so to speak, for sports cards collecting?
If you were to ask this question back in, say, January.
Okay.
Of
In the
last
before
year,
times?
1 year ago, the best place to get a little sampling and a feel for sports cards would have actually been Target or Walmart. They sell items that are usually specific to them. They're like $20 packs and stuff like that, and they're specific to those stores. Okay. They are called what they call retail products. The ability to get these high-end hits isn't as high, but you can get them. They're mathematically possible, and it doesn't break the bank. Since March, since COVID, people have gotten really hard into cards, and thing's taken off. So now, most of the time when you go to Walmart or Target, on days that they deliver sports cards, you will find at 6 a.m., and this is no joke, lines of people waiting outside. There's a picture from this past December of a Target in Lexington where 71 people were waiting outside at 5:45 in the morning to buy the products that came in that day. Wow. The handler who delivers didn't show up till 2 in the afternoon. And all these people waited. So if you go in there, and of course these guys have crossed over and bought Pokemon stuff.
Yeah.
So you walk around most Target or Walmarts and stuff right now, and you look, and the card aisles, they look devastated because everything's bought out.
Our local Walmart is just a ghost town. Everything's gone. Yeah. Like, used to be able to go in there and pick up like Commander decks from like 2 years ago. Everything. Not anymore. There's not even dust on the shelves. Someone's going through and just licking the dust off the shelves.
No, so like so that would have been the best gateway originally. Now the other side of it is the hobby side, and hobby products are more expensive. They're only carried by stores or websites. And they carry products that have a higher hit ratios. You get more autographs and more whatever things. It does cost more. That's the other way to try and get some cards initially. Does Toronto have them on their website? Yes, we do. It's something that I've been working on. So we do have them on the website if you want to search around. Most hobby stores also carry them. And a lot of them are the companies that make them, Panini, Topps, Upper Deck, have licenses so that these stores can sell these items.
Panini, that's a name I haven't heard in years.
Yeah, another candy company.
Yeah.
That became a card.
Yeah, they did.
Yes.
Oh.
Interesting how that parallels. Getting to candy. You'll be in cards soon.
Yeah. Exactly. Candy, the gateway.
I'm waiting for Mars basketball cards. So.
With the caramel feeling inside.
The other way that a lot of people try and get into cards now, because availability and problems and stuff like that, is through online breaks. That is a very gigantic community of many, many, many companies. And what they do is you buy into a break. Either buy a team or you buy a random slot. And it costs however much money, they divide the cost of all the products they're opening.
Yeah, it's like a live auction type thing, right?
Yeah. And so you come in and you go, let's say it's $200 for a random team and they're opening a whole case of boxes, a whole bunch of boxes.
It's like, we know the Braves are going to be in this, so I'll bid $10 to get my Braves.
Yeah. So you pay and you get whatever. And a lot of times they do the random. Sometimes you pick your teams. But usually they're randomized, and then they open all the cards on camera. And so you can watch some of these high-end breaks, these things. It's crazy sometimes. I was watching this one product called Eminence that came out recently.
That's a name, by the way.
And when it came out, it was a $37,000 box. With 10 cards. 10 cards.
Repeat everything you just said.
So it's a $37,000 box with 10 cards. Each card was numbered to 25 or less. They all look amazing. Some have bars of gold. Some have bars of silver, platinum.
Okay, I'm back diamonds. In. You lost me at the 37K, but I'm back in now.
Now, we're not talking about raw materials now. Diamond and gold and platinum. Ooh. So you watch some of these breaks and stuff, and you just see stuff. Of course, you're not buying into that type of break where you're spending. I mean, there are people buying into them. Don't get me wrong. These things are selling out at $2,000 a spot to see if they got a card. But... And they make, I think it was like 50 or 100 of those boxes total, so it's very limited. But you watch them, you see the cards, and it looks fantastic. And you watch these guys open these cards like, oh, I opened a 101 of this guy, and it's worth, like, I've literally, in my store in Lexington, which is associated to Toronto, Baseball Card Warehouse, as I said before.
Baseball Card Warehouse.
We had a guy open a card in our store once, but he sold for $64,000. Out of a box, they paid $120 for. A college student.
Okay, so he paid for college. He paid for half his college right there.
So there is a gambling element to the packs.
Well,
but at the same time, you're opening the packs or doing a break or doing whatever to get some of the cards. And as I said, the Giannis or Trout, you might get a guy that 2 years from now might be one of the best in all that sport. So you might have what you think is bulk and later is something, or you might have a guy where something now who gets hurt or starts to not be good.
Oh yeah, he gets injured because injuries happen because these are physical activities, right? So whenever you get injured,
it's very similar once again to trading cards. How a card won't get played and then becomes played in the main deck, and you see that card become a valuable card because it is highly used. Or a deck gets something banned or something like that happens, or rotates out of a format, you'll see the price drop. So you see like those types of parallels once again. It's funny how I like how you can point out the parallels between cards and the trading cards.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. That's so cool because it makes it kind of like a game. So if you're really good at like just playing your fantasy football league or something, you could potentially just be really good at investing in sports cards. Potentially being the big word there.
Yes. Oh yeah, there's risk. Anytime you invest in anything.
Yeah.
Whether you're buying Pokemon cards, whatever kind of cards you're buying, there's a risk level.
Yeah. Instead of $4 to try to get the $300 card, you're spending $1,000 to get $64,000.
Yeah. And I mean, they make products too where there are some products where I said in Walmart they have the $20 boxes, and then there's some products that we have on the site. They're $60, $70 for a box. You're not always having to spend $37,000 for a pack of cards. There's just there's a level there's a level you can be on here where some of the desired cards like that. The Prism cards I talked about, the Luka Doncic or Giannis, that become the $1,600 Luka that's from 2018. Those boxes when they first came out, it was like $350 a box for a bunch of packs, and you'd be opening the Luka Doncic stuff like that. Okay. And that card now, if you got it graded, it's worth $1,600. There's a bunch of other cards that are worth $1,000. Like, it sounds like $350 was a lot, but it was the premier product of that year. And the maturation of these guys, these rookies that became into something. You know, and all the LeBrons and all the main names are something. So
that's super sweet. So it's like in the video game industry, there's different tiers for loot boxes. Which the different loot box tiers is guaranteed epics or whatever, and basically those packs are just guaranteed X's.
Yep. Oh yeah,
that's super cool.
That's a very good parallel.
Yeah. I was trying to think of it the whole time. I was like, Apex Legends has those. Try to make an analogy and segue into something. We got a little bit of time left, Jeremy. You like Alicia, you must have a actual factual tome of something I like to call table tales. So it's been a little bit since we've had a table tale. It's been about a week. Table tales are a little segment I have here in the Fishtank where a guest I've had, because we're all pretty big card players, buyers. We've been in the industry for a long time. And this is just a way for you to share a very a good story that you have. It could be an event that you played in, an event that you vended at, an event that you just went to and just enjoyed. Could be
a question. Is this supposed to be specific to sports cards?
Or it could be anything.
So whatever. I have a long Magic history. Okay. Obviously, you and I have interacted on the Magic history side.
Yeah.
I have one of the things that was big to me was from a vending standpoint only. Is I once got to vend a vent for Troll and Toad in Singapore.
Oh.
And so that was 2000. Gosh, when was that? 2012 maybe.
Ooh.
And I got to go to Singapore. It was a vacation as a trip.
Yeah.
And it was one of the few vendors there, and everyone there knew who Troll and Toad was, and they were just wanted to see our cards and take pictures and do business with us and buy cards from us. And like one guy, he bought like a $2 card and had me sign it.
Oh, that's
because he wanted to have a card from Troll and Toad. That moment, as a show, felt amazing.
Oh, that's such a good moment. Like, for all you guys who don't know, Troll and Toad has a huge audience in Asian markets. Singapore being one of them, and all the times in the before times we would get tourists from these events going to Gen Con and Origins, and they would come up to us all the time and just tell us.
Well, a lot of international business.
Yeah, I've signed a lot of basic mountains in my day for fish. Be like, oh, can you sign a card for me? I love Troll and Toad.
And then as a player, I had a story as well.
Ooh, yeah, tell me about these players.
I went to a tournament once. I do not recant the year. It was for an extended format. I lived in Vermont at the time. It was a 4.5-hour drive to Brighton, Massachusetts, where the regional was. I went to go play in a regional to try and qualify for the Pro Tour in Magic. as we're driving down, I don't like the deck I've been working on the past week. So I decide at 3:30 in the morning when we get up and start driving that I am going to build a new deck in the car.
Oh, I love those. I love those stories. They always end great.
And so I had seen people play this type of deck. It wasn't like a brand new idea, but I'd seen one person do well with a wizard deck, a tribal wizard deck, and
you saw the article and you're like,
and I was like, I want to build a wizard deck, but I don't want to play red, which is the main color they used. I want to use black, white, and blue, which is usually the main wizard colors.
I want to play good cards, all right?
I wanted to play these Meddling Mage.
Ooh, that's a good card.
Dark Confidant and Void Mage Prodigy were the key cards in my deck.
No. Yeah. So you're like, I don't need these
Meddling Mage
cards.
was the wizard card I wanted to play them.
And you had Bob, too, and Meddling Mage. Oh, that sounds sweet.
So I built this car in the train ride, or the car ride there. Mm-hmm. And one of the key cards in my deck is a card called Patron Wizard. Patron Wizard costs 3 blue, and it's a 2/2 guy. And all he really does is you can tap any wizard to help you counter spells.
Oh, yeah.
So you start playing out Meddling Mages and other wizards, and
they turn into counter
your
spells.
opponent can't do anything because you're going to counter their spells.
Yeah, that's
so
sweet.
It had synergy with my Dark Confidant and my Meddling Mage, the big cards I want to play.
They also have relevant stat lines too, right? They're 2 1s and 2 2s.
Yep. And so I had to put some 1-drops in the deck because I want to have a 1-drop and then a 2-drop, those guys we talked about, and then a Patron Wizard, and you have this curve. Yeah. So I built this deck in a car. My friends are telling me that's the dumbest thing they've ever heard of. Why am I throwing my money away? Why am I going to Boston to do this? And I'm like, no, I feel like this deck is good right now.
Yeah, you guys don't get it. This deck is next level.
So I had gone all in on this idea, but from the moment we left the house, I had a dress shirt with a vest, and I had a fedora on the whole thing.
Mulaney.
And I'm playing this wizard deck, and my group of people from Vermont, we just kept saying wizards. And we kept saying it to each other throughout the tournament. My friends would walk up behind me and like, oh yeah, Jeremy's playing wizards. And I'd play against people, and every opponent I played against didn't know what my deck was doing. They knew the cards, but they didn't understand, like, it's not a mainstream thing. So this event had 289 players in it.
That for back in the day, that's pretty big.
It was quite a large event, and of course in the middle of winter. So everyone was able to make it there. And I had started off 4-0. And had not lost a game, and I felt good about things.
People will call that the Dream Crusher start, right? Where you're unstoppable.
So in the 5th round, I play against a gentleman. His name is Alan Altino. Alan is a player from Massachusetts area. We played for a while. Nice guy. He did not think Wizards was a tournament viable deck. And he was playing mono red, burn.
So all the cards you threw away out of your Wizards deck, he's like, oh, no, this is my deck now.
Yes.
This is mine. All right.
And so we're playing, and I beat him the first game by playing a couple Meddling Mages, naming cards out of his hand, so he can't play anything.
See, I play these good cards and name your bad cards, and I win.
Yes. And then the second game, I win as well. And
2-0'd him?
I 2-0'd him. That game I won with an Umazawa's Jeet, a magic card. I gave you really good versus red.
Yeah.
But my deck has a lot of synergy, and because of all my counterspell effects, I could stop him from doing his ways to try and kill me fast. He was furious. And when I say furious, he's sitting there, like, hitting the table, angry. And I had borrowed some of my cards from one of his good friends that day.
Oh.
And is a friend of mine, too. That was how we kind of knew each other.
Yeah.
And he says to his friend when he comes over, when we're just finishing a match and writing our match receipt, he says to his friend, why would you let him borrow this card? And he's like, why wouldn't I? No one's ever playing Patron Wizard ever.
Yeah, who plays Patron Wizard?
And this guy just happened to have Portuguese foiled Patron Wizards. And I think by this point you might know who this gentleman was.
Right.
Who let me borrow the cards. A man named Andy Stokinger.
Mm-hmm.
So Alan worked for him. And so so he got so angry over it. You just see him like shaking his hands. So we go to walk out because I have a little half-hour lunch break. Mm-hmm. And I watch him launch his deck into the wall by the door. And his deck exploded and walk out. His friend had to pick up all of his red deck cards. So as I walk outside, he is cursing.
Oh, you killed me, Jeremy.
Wizards.
Oh, God, you killed me.
This Wizards. Dumb guy playing Wizards, not a real deck, Wizards. I hate this guy, blah, blah, blah.
Wizards.
Fast forward.
Okay.
Finals of the tournament. I play against Alan Altino in the finals.
Oh, you know, he's a complete.
Now, he has been watching me throughout the top 8 and through other rounds
It's
and
his little
seen me
notepad.
make really good plays. And he made a comment at one point in the top 4 watching me play, and someone I made a really exceptional play. And he's like, "You're really good with this deck." So I think I started to get some. He didn't hate me as much.
You got some street cred.
And I at each round, as the tournament went on, I had a crowd of people watching because they're all rooting for the Tribal Wizard deck to take down this tournament full of mainstream decks.
Yeah. You're the rogue deck.
And
right?
I was on fire that day. Everything was just working.
Oh, you were Cinderella man.
And I get in the finals and I play against Alan, and he plays completely different.
Okay.
The first game,
Oh, he learned.
he won the first game, but it was like he had to draw something off the top. It had to be a specific card. He did, or he was dead. Because I had triple melee mage walking him out of a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And then game 2 I take, and he starts to shake.
Oh, he's on tilt.
And he's like, he's going to lose, and he's nervous. He's nervous the whole time. He's stuttering when he's talking to me. And he starts to shake and do this. And he gets to the point where he just can't shuffle his deck for the third game. And I get this moment where the TO comes over, and because we were told to start a game, and he is just not doing anything to start the beginning of match procedure.
Right.
And the TO goes, okay, I can force him to play or concede the game right now. I am not the bad guy.
Oh.
I told the TO, can I give him an extra few minutes to
can you
relax?
go to the...
And the TO offered, he's like, well, I could give him like a ginger ale. And he took a ginger ale to calm down. And he calmed down.
Okay.
And we played our third game, and it was very well played. And he ended up pulling out a victory at the end by, it was some craziness at the end that happened, but he got a victory.
Okay.
And he shook my hand, and I have stayed friends with this guy ever since, from this moment. And I did not win the tournament that day, and I could have been the guy, been like, nope, I'm going to the Pro Tour. I did not be that guy. I'm like, if destiny is telling me to win today, I'm going to win it on the field.
Oh.
And the story of me playing random deck built in a car, all my friends is stupid, all the other people I know saying it's stupid. And getting to this point of the finals of this event, and Boston is a very competitive Magic community, and to play against him and the whole story of that, to me, always stood out as like this moment in time where I left my mark, and it was pretty awesome that I get to do that.
That is absolutely amazing. That is an amazing story. Like, it has everything.
It's a good one.
Oh, that's good, because I have to be honest with you, Jeremy. I 100%, I would have went for blood. I would have been like, oh, well, I watched this guy get really salty. I would have just been in his face the whole time, like, as he's, like, shuffling, been like, game 3, huh? I didn't think it would get this far. Just looking at him, I would just see how far I could take him before he would just stop. But that's just because I'm just that type of person. I'm glad you're not. We have this amazing story.
Yeah.
Oh, that was absolutely
the
great.
thing is, I thought about it afterwards, too. If I had forced him to play, there's no telling that the game would have been different. He might have calmed down during the game. It might have been fine. I didn't want this dude to have a stroke and, like, die.
Yeah.
I couldn't have that on my conscience.
Also, you guys are friends too, right? Outside of the game before this, you guys were, I guess friends is a strong term, but you guys have mutual respect for each other. So, yeah, that's good. That's what you love to hear. Just people showing mutual respect for each other. And in the finals of a tournament too. If that can happen in the finals of a tournament where the winner goes to the Pro Tour and second place gets nothing. I mean, you got a box, but you don't go to the Pro Tour. You don't go to the Pro Tour.
Yeah.
Like, that's absolutely.
We were friends by the end of the day. And the day it started with him launching his deck into a wall.
And just as he's throwing it, just yelling, "Wizards!"
It's true. It's true.
Yeah, well, all right. That brings us to the end of our show today, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you, Jeremy, for joining me. I absolutely love today.
It's a pleasure. Hopefully everyone enjoyed hearing about sports cards and things going on with that. It's cool stuff, so hopefully it's entertaining.
And sorry, chat, for not interacting with you guys a lot. Jeremy has a lot to say. Very entertaining person.
A lot of stories.
Yeah, exactly. Wizards. Wizards. We'll absolutely love to have you on so you can talk and educate me more about sports cards. And I would love to have you just on for like a big table tales. That would be awesome.
I got tons of stories.
Yeah, all you do. You've told me some of these, and they are absolutely great. All right, so we're gonna end today's show by just giving you guys a shout out for like all the other stuff that we're gonna be doing this week. Of course, we have Drew's Poke Shop on Wednesday. We got Troll vs. Toad right before this program at noon to question mark. Yeah. Then you have the Fish Tanks immediately following that 2 to 3. Yeah, we also got Jeremy on Fridays. Woo! Doing the magic stuff. Oh, you got some big plans for this week, right?
We got some Commander going on this week, a little bit of draft, and then next week Call Time comes out, and we're going to be doing. I'm not maybe spoiling the dog here, but we might be doing a break for our Call Time thing that people can get involved with.
That'd
Details
be
coming.
cool.
Probably by the end of this day.
Yeah. If you guys want to remain in contact, make sure to check us out on Facebook. Make sure to check out our Twitter, Instagram. I think that's it. Oh, we also have a Discord, !Discord. We also have a big Yu-Gi-Oh! Stream happening Friday, I think around 6 o'clock-ish. More details about that will be soon. I could be entirely wrong about some stuff. But, hey, if I am, producer man and people behind the curtains will correct me. I've been Fishman. This has been
Jeremy Muir.
And this has been the Fish Tank, and we're splashing out, guys. All right, you guys can roll it. Oh, TT after hours. That's fine. They got him.